My name is Aysha, and I'm here with Carley DeFranco, and we're going to talk about Errollyn Dido.
My name is Carley DeFranco, and I am a Boston-based singer. I have been singing with Emmanuel Music for 10 years, believe it or not. Last year was my 10th anniversary with the group, so that was really special. And I'm not sure what else about me. I'm a soprano. You've probably seen me in the cantata series. And I also am a teacher of voice, and I run an after-school music program as well.
And how long have you sang operatica for?
I was really lucky, and at my public school growing up, I received really excellent choral training. And as part of that choral training, we also received private lessons and were pulled out of class to do things like sectionals and school trips to different choir competitions. So I would say that was like the start of my solo singing experience. And then when I went to my undergraduate college, which was American University in Washington, D.C., that was when I really dove in more seriously and did some operatic singing. But my first experience singing in an opera was actually Dido and Aeneas in grad school at the Launchi School of Music, and I sang the role of second woman. So this is actually a really cool return for me.
Great.
Yeah.
So I've seen you perform a lot in the Boston area with different organizations. Do you know roughly the number of how many productions and that you've been in so far this year, or just overall?
Oh my gosh, that's a really good question. I would have to look at my 1099 forms to know the real answer to that. But I would say dozens. Dozens over the course of my career, certainly. And there are a few that I kind of return to.
Organizations.
Yeah, a few different organizations that I return to over and over, to a few different chamber music organizations and a few different symphonic organizations that I sing with a lot. And then I'm really lucky, and I get to be a guest soloist with a lot of different like regional and like city and town orchestras and choirs. And so I do a lot of that as well.
How do you manage to do all of that and also keep your voice healthy?
It is the question, especially in the season of sickness when everyone's getting sick. And I teach young students, some of my younger students are 7 and 8 years old. So it's just a constant battle of, we're going to wash our hands before we touch the piano. And, oh, we're not feeling so good today. We're going to wear a mask or whatever. So that's definitely top of mind, but I think that's true for all singers. And I do have a mindfulness practice that I'm pretty serious about. And I do yoga and I exercise. And I think like most singers, like this isn't unusual for us, but I take my health really seriously. So I try to just power down if there's even like the hint of something coming. But no, I actually find that the variety of my career and my life, of the variety of singing, actually really helps me thrive and stay healthy. I think if I was only doing one kind of singing all the time, it would maybe get a little exhausting, but doing a lot of different things, like singing in choir versus singing solo versus singing chamber music versus singing operatically versus singing musical theater and pop style with my students, it keeps me balanced and healthy. Yeah.
So you're very familiar with all three of your characters. What parts of their personality is particularly haunting to you, and how do you think you are able to embody it during your performance?
So I've learned a lot about Dido and Carthage and this entire like few 100-year span in history that I had no idea. I'd never dug that deep. I think that I'm really drawn to Dido as the Queen of Carthage because the entire myth, essentially, that is kind of woven into her past is that she escaped and fled from her brother Pygmalion and went to what became Carthage, and asked the presiding king for a small plot of land for her people and for her to like start fresh, essentially. And he gave her an ox hide and said, well, whatever this ox hide covers, that's your land. And she was really smart, and she cut the ox hide into like this tiny, tiny, tiny thread. So it was like miles and miles long. And she ended up encapsulating an entire hill essentially with this oxide, and that became Carthage. And the physical leverage of that hill made it so that they were at a huge advantage from a place of defense and war. So she was extremely smart and efficient, and really attracted to that quality in her. She's clearly just very smart and powerful in that way. And I've kind of enjoyed her like quiet power, if that makes sense. And I'm trying really hard to embody that with physicality. She holds her head really high. Her chest is proud. Um, and it's really different than her sister Anna, who the first time we see Anna, she washes up on shore and she's basically decrepit. She's the only survivor left from her entire population, and she's completely lost. And so that physicality and the more modern music, and also the modern, like the present moment, is much more I don't know how to describe it. It's much more urgent than Dido's physicality and staging that we're doing, which puts Dido into the story. So we're doing like lots of gesturing, Baroque gesturing for that, which is completely different than the modern moments with Anna. So there's very clear physical differences, and I hope that that comes across.
How is it to sing in the context of Errollyn Wallen's music, and is it a challenging score?
Yes, it's very challenging. I'm not going to beat around the bush. But what I've said from the beginning of getting this score was, even though it is challenging, and if you look at it on the page, there's a lot of things like large intervallic leaps of ninths and tenths, where you're like, oh, okay, that's kind of tricky to just even learn. But what's interesting about her music, and I've found this when I've sung her motet at Emmanuel Music in the past, it's very intuitive. So when I'm singing the role of Anna, it feels like what comes next, measure to measure, feels very inevitable, which as a singer is very rewarding, especially as a singer who does a good amount of new music. Sometimes it really doesn't have that intuitive feeling, and that can make it extra hard to learn. And so I really enjoy that with Wallen's music. It feels inevitable. It feels urgent. And it's still been hard to memorize. And there's things about it, like, to get into the weeds a little bit, my first arioso moment when I come on as Anna, I sing this little aria thing. And if you look at the strings, it looks pretty obvious. I'm singing an F, and the strings are playing a D and an A. It's like, okay, my F fits right into that open fifth. But then the bass and the cello are playing G flat. So it's like right off the bat, it creates, it's a very clear purpose, in my opinion. It's like, okay, she's creating a lot of instability
Tension.
right away. And it really adds to that. But then as a performer who is used to doing a lot of early music and a lot of really consonant music, it is definitely a challenge because I just want it to fit in either way. But that's the whole point. So I think she's very effective with those kinds of tools, those kinds of compositional tools.
Yeah, I do want to give props to you because you're memorizing all this. You're on stage the entire time, and it is a vigorous, rehearsal process. So congrats to you.
Thank you.
It's been really great to see.
Thanks, Aysha.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. And I do some opera, but I don't do it. I would not say I do it frequently. So, and when I do, I'm usually singing a much smaller role, or perhaps I'm singing in a chorus. So this is certainly an unusual responsibility. But I also feel like as a singer, it is my job to come in and be memorized. It is my job to come in and inhabit the character. I have to do my job so that everyone else, the lighting designers, the scenic designers, the stage director, my peers on stage, the orchestra, they can all do their jobs. So it's just part of my job. And yes, it's difficult, but it's necessary to create this product.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how's it like working with the cast so far?
It's really fun. So I've known some people in this cast for like 10 years. I have just met a few people in this cast. I've sung with some of this cast in operatic settings, and some of them I've never heard them sing operatically at all. And now I'm hearing them do this really crazy music. It's really fun, exposed music. So we're having a lot of fun, and everyone is bringing their A game, and it just feels really good. Honestly, it feels good when you do a lot of concert singing to like shed the score, shed all of those layers and just be on stage together and really enjoy playing off each other. That just feels nice.
And how's it working with the crew and this director?
Incredible. Rebecca and I, our stage director, worked together almost 10 years ago in one of my first operas as well. And, you know, she gave me an opportunity to sing a big role. It was Alcina when I had basically no experience. And so I really am grateful to her. And it's really cool coming together after so long when we've both gone off and done so many different projects and grown, I think, individually as artists. And now to see each other here and meet at this level. Same thing goes for Ryan, because Ryan was actually the chorus director when I did my first Dido and sang Second Woman over 10 years ago. And so that is also really special. So there's just this level of like, there's all these layers with Emmanuel music, and a lot of just fondness and trust in each other. And that makes this whole process feel like we believe in it and it's gonna be great.
And it feels like family.
It really does.
It really does.
It really does. But like sometimes without all the like hardships that can come in family, because there is this inherent trust that like, yep, we're on this timeline and it does feel like it's kind of moving swiftly, but we're going to get there and everyone is capable of bringing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you
Thanks
for
Aysha.
being here with me. Come see Carley DeFranco here at the Tull Hall on October 18th and 19th. Right?
Yay.
Yes.
Yes. That's
Yes.